Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Jim Dar's Tone Shifter channel, where we show you how to take any guitar and make it sound and play better. So join me in the Guitar Cabin, our musical sanctuary from day-to-day life, as we explore another really cool guitar project. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Welcome back, my friends, to the case of the BasketCase Les Paul Special. As we've seen in the previous episodes, we actually got this guitar and it was in really bad shape. The back had been sanded down to almost half its normal thickness. The truss rod on the neck was exposed. The previous owner made some attempts and then decided to pass it on to somebody else. I'm that somebody else. So I decided to tackle this project in parts, fixing the back first, putting a cap on the back, which we just did. Next, I'm moving on to the neck, and it's a mess, to be honest with you. It's a really big mess. The first thing we had to decide is how to deal with the heel. It was sanded down. This is what it would look like normally, but it was sanded down to the point where it made sense to reinforce the neck body joint by putting a cap on it and putting kind of like a modern carve in it in the back so you'll have access to the upper frets. So the next thing I had to do was drill out the hole for the jack and extend that long bit you saw in an earlier episode all the way up to the switch cavity. Now I had to decide what to do with the actual neck itself. As you remember, it was sanded thin to the point where the truss rod broke through. The previous owner plugged it with a 1/4-inch wide piece of wood that wasn't quite thick enough to match the thickness of the neck. So after a lot of thought and contemplation, I came up with an idea. I'm going to capitalize on what the previous owner was trying to accomplish. They were adding thickness to the back of the neck with that 1/4-inch skunk stripe that we just saw. They also added some depth from the fingerboard to the back of the neck. So the first step is removing those two pieces of veneered mahogany from the top. Special tools, palette knives are needed in order to not mess up the surface of the guitar. I use a Hanger Model 9, which is a small profile iron. I still use thin plywood to protect the finish in the guitar from the heat of the iron, but it's much less than what would happen if you use a normal clothes ironing iron. Now the heat's doing its job and I'm able to get a couple of spatulas underneath the mahogany veneers that were added that I'm removing. It's starting to come off nicely and I've been able to protect the finish of the guitar. Previously, I believe a regular steam iron was used and the heat actually looks like it affected the finish somewhat. But progress is being made here little by little by little. And I'm trying to eliminate any chip out and tear out, and at last I've separated the two pieces. Now because I've introduced heat to the neck, I want to keep it as straight as possible, so I use some quick clamps, a level to hold the neck straight, as well as the fingerboard, which was taken off before I got the guitar. So here's the plan. I'm going to take that skunk stripe out that wasn't quite thick enough to handle the depth of the neck. I'm going to make a 1/2-inch wide insert of Honduran mahogany, scrap that I have that should make strong neck wood, and put that in a little proud of the back of the neck so I can try to get it more of a rounded C-shaped neck. So here's the truss rod routing template that I made. It's basically a slide that the router goes in, and I'll put temporary stops in to make sure I don't go into the headstock or into the pickup cavities. It's important to note that the truss rod, the metal truss rod, has been removed by the previous owner, and he's assured me that there is no metal in the neck at all. But the end result is this. That's a neck that's been routed all the way through. It's pretty fragile right now, but I'm pretty pleased with it. It looks a little funny because it's on the carpet, but trust me, it's all the way through and it's a clean cut. So next episode will cover me making the inserts, installing, carving the neck on the back, as well as installing a thicker mahogany veneer on the top, much like the one that we just took off, except much thicker and the proper dimensions widthwise. Well, we're making good progress on this project, and I think it'll work. We've got some touch and go areas to consider as we finish the neck up, but I think overall it's going pretty well. It's a bigger project than I thought, and we're trying to do it right and trying to make it functional and trying to make it a good player. So until next time, please keep your comments and thoughts coming. I do appreciate having the conversation and getting some advice from people. Be good, be kind, be smart, have fun, but most of all, be safe. Bye.